It's not guns, it's mentally unstable people getting access to guns.
It's not mentally unstable people. You don't know if someone's mentally unstable until they do something.
One of the reasons it's hard for Trump to navigate the guns issue is that the gun rights community itself is still trying to figure out whether change is acceptable. Vice News asked Republican strategist Frank Luntz to hold a focus group with current and former N.R.A. members to see if things have changed after the Parkland shooting.
You turn on the news, you read the newspaper. Do you feel good about where our country is right now?
Overall, I do.
You do?
I do.
Is the moral state of our country, are our values the way they should be?
No.
They're in the toilet.
In the toilet, it's horrible.
And that's why we have things like happened last week, because the moral fabric of the society is fraying and has been for the last 50 years.
It seemed like a problem. Instead of being united, we're getting more segregated and apart for as religions, politics, all different issues, guns, weapons, everything.
I am a member of NRA, but I disagree with a lot of the ways that you can get a gun now. There needs to be mental checks. There needs to be, and why do we have
I
machine,
disagree.
excuse me,
No.
Why are there machine guns available to civilians?
No.
They're not available.
This is why I disagree.
Hold on.
How did the mass shooter get the gun? Anyone know?
He went and bought it. He was 19.
His
That's
name
the
should have
point.
been on a list. The FBI, the police department, and the whatever their social services, that all were told that kid. And what are we focusing on? We're focusing on how bad the NRA is. That's a crock.
What about the idea that guns are too prevalent, that it is too easy for anyone to get a gun at any time for any reason?
It's not guns, it's mentally unstable people getting access to guns.
It's not mentally unstable people. You don't know if someone's mentally unstable until they do something.
You can't put a label on all of it, but what you can say is that every single person that aims a gun at another person and pulls the trigger has a screw loose here.
It's pain.
To a point. I get as pissed off as anybody does just watching the TV at night. I've got a whole bunch of guns, and you know what? I would never even consider pulling that on somebody unless I thought someone was going to kill me or kill somebody that I care about.
In my opinion, I feel like the rules and regulations to even have a gun in your hands, in your family, if you want a gun, great. But I feel like the rules to get there need to be changed. I'm not saying that we shouldn't have guns, but I'm saying that there's certain guns that we shouldn't have. Does that make sense?
It's a cultural problem. How does that get solved? Values have to be reinstilled. Simple as that. You can't put bans on guns. It's ridiculous.
These are outbursts that are expressions of personal pain. This is people who, it's not personal.
But the problem is you cannot stop.
Well,
Wait a minute. I disagree with you. It can be stopped. Why are they going to schools? Because the school is a gun-free zone. It's a victim-rich environment.
Are you suggesting that we put more guns in schools?
Absolutely.
No.
Why is it that the NRA has the image that it has?
They just think we're a bunch of hillbillies.
And what are you?
We're people that believe in the fundamental right to defend ourselves.
Does that include weapons that can kill 50 people in 90 seconds?
That's misusing the weapons. That's not using it for what they're.
Why
What kind of weapon are you talking about?
Why do we need those weapons?
Well,
We don't.
what kind of weapon are you talking
whatever weapon
about?
you want, because as soon as you go in there with the regulations, it's a slippery slope. It's like, hey, I can make this justification why you can't have that weapon. Now I can start to move to the next one. So you have to start somewhere defending your right.
How many of you believe that we need to step up and enhance background checks for people? I want to make the point that there is a consensus. Again, what you all have in common.
Right.
There are 14 of you in this room. All of you at one point were members of the NRA. Most of you are still. That you, as members, support enhanced background checks.
Yes, absolutely.
What else do you support?
They have to change the HIPAA laws to allow the releasing of certain information to the police agencies that they can't do now, so they can screen out somebody who is unbalanced.
By show of hands, how many of you would change the laws to make that information accessible? Once again, virtually everybody. Those kids are begging the politicians to remove these weapons.
Kids don't understand how the world works. They're kids.
I disagree. I think that kids today are smarter than they ever have been. Their ideas need to be listened to, and maybe there's a better way that we haven't thought of, because quite frankly, we've been kind of screwing things up a bit.
You're the NRA. What are you going to tell that father?
I have the right to defend my right to carry. That's what I want. Anytime somebody attacks that, I'm going to defend my right constitutionally. Banning semi-automatic weapons is not going to give you your child back. It's not going to do it for you. And if it was a knife, are we going to ban knives? That's what I mean, where does it stop? Where do we stop because your child died?
I'm watching this, I'm listening to you, and you give me no hope whatsoever that this won't happen again.
Well,
It will happen.
it will happen again. I wish we could say it wouldn't.
And I think most of us are looking for a very easy macro solution that stricter regulation is going to change everything, but we need to look at a more micro regulation, and that's that these families need to take stricter control of their kids, and it's the breakdown of the family dynamic that's causing this problem.
What do you say to those kids who are marching to Tallahassee? What do you say to those kids who are not backing down and they're going to march to Washington, D.C.? They lost their best friends, they lost their brothers and sisters. What do you say to them?
First thing I would tell them is keep fighting, keep speaking, you're doing the right thing. But I would also have to tell them that it's really sad that it's happened to them, but unfortunately, our Constitution says the Second Amendment is a right to bear arms.
We're talking about something obviously very, very antiquated when you're talking about that, okay? Here's what I would tell a kid. Say, if you really want to make a change, you got to do it in baby steps. And if anyone knows anything about policy in Washington, you got to baby step it. You just can't one day turn it off. So what you do is you have to, look at magazine capacity. You really don't need 30 rounds. You just don't. I mean, do you need more than 5? Probably not, honestly.
Okay, is that okay?
That's okay.
No.
Yeah.
I mean,
No.
Why not?
Because if there's some guy breaking into your house, maybe 5 isn't going to do it.
Oh, come on.
No.
How many of you are currently members of the NRA? Raise your hands. So you're not a member anymore.
I'm not a member.
Why not?
I personally don't really like what the NRA stands for anymore. I don't want to be part of the group to actually have to defend it. Because I think a lot of stuff the NRA stands for isn't defensible, frankly. I think the NRA stands oftentimes for saying we should have the guns in people's hands no matter what the cost. It's not just 17 kids, guys. It's thousands of people. You've got a big cultural problem, and this country's in a lot of pain. That pain's been expressed lots of ways, and guns are the tool.
I am scared to death of my nephews and my kids being in school now because they're not taking action to protect the kids. You guys, if the government stays complacent, it is going to escalate.
If they ban all guns, would you feel safer for your nephew and niece in school?
You
today?
know, I would.
You would? You're crazy.